We go in English once again. Hello, everybody. Yes, I am once again attempting to do an English stream, because why not? I hope you're all doing alright. I'm just waiting for a few people to drop in, and we're gonna play some Grand Prix World. Also, hi, Robin. Grand Prix World, to be precise, either with or without chocolate, depending on my mood, because I do love me some chocolate. I already see the stream just being a 2-hour discussion about chocolate. I already see that being a possibility. Yeah, just enjoying some jazz music, enjoying the semi-winter-ish atmosphere of late November. You know, a bit of snow outside, but yeah, just vibing, just vibing. I mean, I was vibing with Josh like yesterday on his stream. It was hilarious. It was just hilarious seeing Josh like being somewhat annoyed with his games, especially Minecraft, just basically being tormented and annoyed every 20 seconds by creepers and spiders and endermen and all that good jazz. But yeah, speaking of jazz, there we go. The Grand Prix World screen thingy setup. Let me just set this up for y'all. Hopefully this doesn't crash. Also, let's skip this quickly because I don't want to get banned by ITV. So, welcome to Grand Prix World 1997. Let me make one thing clear, apart from the fact that I hope that everything works well. I hope the sound is okay. I hope the sound levels are alright. If not, please just tell me in the chat and I can change them immediately. Also, I just got a Discord notification, which is really bad because I can't really get out of this menu unless I'm willing to restart Grand Prix World because this game is old as shit. Like it's probably not only older than the dirt under my shoes, it's probably older than the dirt under like my house. But yeah, that's a whole nother topic. It was released in, I think, either 1999 or 2000 for the PC, and it was developed by Microprose, so it was basically under the same roof, under the same umbrella as the Grand Prix games from Jeff Kremen. Hi, Josh! I was just explaining to people that I, basically practically laughed my ass off yesterday with your, interesting adventures in Minecraft and Pac-Man and Hades. Again, I just hope the stream works technologically. Like, it's... Like, just so you know, I cannot drop out of this menu or the screen unless I end the game. Like, I'm not going to show it to you because I don't want to restart the whole procedure, but basically this game doesn't love to be run on Windows 10. Was about YouTube chat, so you can ignore it. Whoopsie. Discord is a fun place, isn't it? Yeah, Grand Prix World. It was basically released under the same umbrella as the Grand Prix games by Jeff Kremen. But yet again, I don't feel like it has a lot of, like it doesn't really have the same community that the Grand Prix games do, which is understandable. It's a management simulation. It's kind of a niche genre in itself. I mean, hell, racing itself is kind of a niche these days, so why wouldn't this be a niche as well? A niche within a niche, if you will. But yeah, this is not only like Grand Prix World from 1990. Minecraft can suck a fat. It was lovely, Josh. It was lovely. Had a great time. This is not stock Grand Prix World 1999, because stock Grand Prix World portrayed the 1998 Formula 1 season. If you want to see that, I'd recommend you head over to PSL Racing. He did a great playthrough of this game, like the original Grand Prix World with the 1998 season. I can't recommend it enough. Like, I think he currently works for the race as like their esports journalist person, I think. Yeah, absolutely, can absolutely recommend it. No, I'm definitely not stumbling over my words. Absolutely not. Yeah, but this is Grand Prix World 1997 edition. There is a link in the description of the stream to the mod. I'm not going to do a tutorial on it because I don't really need to do that. Like, it's rather easy to set up. It's just terrible to get this working for streams, but generally this is rather easy to get working, at least from my experience. Again, this is not going to be super duper mega entertaining. This is just me basically not only trying this out as a stream setup, but also this is me basically doing an explanation to Mr. James Early as to why I think this game is pretty nice and as to why I think he should stream it at some point in time. Because Grand Prix World compared to Motorsport Manager or even the F1 Manager from Electronic Arts, I feel like is more of a proper Formula 1 management simulation. And we're going to talk about as to why that is. Not just because it had the official Formula 1 license, but also due to some other aspects that I think were never quite properly represented in Motorsport Manager, but that's just my take on it. We'll start a new game as Simon Core. And isn't this nice? Isn't this beautiful? Jacques Villeneuve with the semi-boldish haircut before the Peroxide Rebel years. So this is straight up management sim. Yes, it is. It is basically an F1 management simulation, in the vein of, you know, Motorsport Manager, F1 Manager from EA, all those games. But it is different, and again, I feel like it doesn't get the love that it deserves. We might be able to change that. Who knows? I mean, we have all the teams from 1997. We have the Williams. I mean, we all heard about, you know, Frank Williams' passing. I think it was either yesterday or like the day before yesterday. Which, of course, you know, many in the F1 world are sad about, considering Frank Williams is one of the most influential. Williams, #1! Don't interrupt my solemn speech, Josh. Basically, Frank Williams was one of the most influential, you know, figures in the entire world of motorsports, so of course it is, you know, for many it is sad to see such a personality, you know, pass away. It's also interesting that we're seeing like this iteration of Williams, because this was right before they dropped in performance, right? Like in the beginning of 1997, Williams was on top of the world. You know, Jacques Villeneuve basically dominating everything, especially in qualifying. Not particularly in the races, but in qualifying, he was above everybody else. But throughout the season, it seemed as if Williams was kind of losing their way, which might be because Adrian Newey left the team at like the end of 1996. Which is also something we might talk about, you know, later on. Also, not only do we have the Jacques Villeneuve Williams #1, Williams Nummer 1, we also have none other than the Heinz, the Harold, the Frentzen. I know there's a big delay, Josh, but the reason there is a big delay, right, is because I put the stream on normal latency and not like super duper low latency, because I don't know if my internet connection could tackle the low latency, to be completely honest with you. So I'd rather be safe and say, all right, there's a bit of a lag, there's a bit of a latency, and I'd rather have that than to be like, oh, why is my stream dying every 10 seconds? Well, you know, I'd rather have it this way and have it safe and have it, you know, working, functioning, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, that's why there's a bit of a delay with the live chat. Again, Heinz Harold Frentzen also with quite an interesting haircut for, you know, like should we do like an F1 portrait tier list at some point? Like, because I think somebody in James's like Discord posted like an F1 like track tier list earlier, and I thought, you know, what kind of tier lists would be suitable for like maybe a stream or just for, you know, a Discord channel in general. And maybe this would be like a nice idea, like some weird, bizarre F1 portraits, because there is some weird photography when it comes to Formula 1 going around, you know? I mean, you only have to look at like the manuals of old F1 games, the menus of old F1 games, and you'll see some bizarre shit, let me tell you that much. Also, the guy who maybe should have won at least one championship in his career, you know, at least one of them, you know, Juan Pablo Montoya. I mean, I like me some Montoya. You know, I think Montoya, like, as a character to have as a part of your grid is brilliant, you know, whether you like him or not. Because his attitude towards everybody around him in the early 2000s, I still find that to be quite entertaining, with his, like, no-nonsense, no-bullshit attitude. I do like that, and I think that is something you can work off of, you know, as a media person. You know, and to be completely honest with you, I'm a bit disappointed that we never really got like a proper Montoya-Schumacher rivalry. I mean, we had a bit of that in like early 2002, but we never had this like proper like year-long championship fight between those two. And I think that could have been quite entertaining, you know, since they were two very different characters, the way they presented themselves, the way they perceived the sport, the way they interacted with the sport, also the way they talked about American motorsports, Montoya being very fond of American motorsports, Schumacher not so much, and so I think that's a rivalry that, would have been nice to see, but we had a bit of that in early 2002, so yeah, that was also before Montoya won his F3000 championship. He won the title in 1998, lost it in 1997 to, I think it was Ricardo Zonta, who then went on to become the FIA GT champion, I think in 1998 with Klaus Ludwig, JPM never hit his potential. I agree. He had, even in his McLaren days, it seemed as if he always had this, on his day, he was a machine, But then again, I feel like that's what makes him quite fascinating, more so than maybe a few other, drivers from the early 2000s. He wasn't super duper consistent, but on his day, he was brilliant. And that's always quite fascinating to me personally in sports generally. People that maybe aren't as consistent as, the top tier drivers or athletes, but, on their day, they are immaculate. They are magnificent. At least that's my point of view. Also, this is the last year with Renault engines, just so you all know. This is Williams' final season with Renault V10s before their, weird mecha chrome super tech in-between phase, which, technically they were still Renault engines, but, they weren't supported by Renault anymore, so they were kind of these off-the-cuff 97 Renault engines that I think Flavio Briatore tried to work on, and that never really worked, but, is what it is. The Ferrari with the Schumacher and the Irvine. Had to get a sip of water there. I mean, 1997 Ferrari is interesting because I feel like nobody really expected them to fight for the championship. I feel like they themselves didn't really expect, to be in the championship fight for 1997, but they ended up in the fight anyway, at least for the Drivers' Championship. No way did they ever have any chance in the Constructors' Championship because, Eddie Irvine. I'm not going to say more about that, but yeah, 1997. Very fond memories of 97, even as a Schumacher fan. Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't alive in 1997, but it's one of those years that I still remember very clearly when it comes to the imagery and the aesthetic and the way it was presented, because 1997 is one of those seasons that was referenced a lot on German television because of the incident in Jerez. But if you go on YouTube or on F1 TV or whatever platform you prefer, either legally or illegally, wink wink, I think 1997 is one of the seasons that aged the best when it comes to the racing and the stories and the amount of people that were capable of winning races that year. I think it aged quite well, So I totally got, the fondness for 1997. Again, quite an interesting season for Ferrari. Schumacher couldn't quite pull it off, but at the same time, a brilliant season from him, I feel like there's people, I think Jimmy Broadbent, who argued that Jacques Villeneuve didn't deserve to be world champion in 97. I disagree simply on the basis that I don't feel that anybody's ever undeserving of being a world champion. If you're the world champion, you're the world champion. That's it, But at the same time, I also do feel like this wasn't Villeneuve's peak. Bizarrely enough, I feel like both in 96 and 98, at least from an outside perspective, from a retrospective perspective, that's a nice terminology there, it seems as if Villeneuve was better both in 96 and 98 than he was in 97, because he was definitely fortunate in the second half of the season, with technical difficulties on both Ferrari's and McLaren's end especially, which we're going to talk about in just a second. Also, to be fair, I'm quite fond of the 1997 season because that was my debut of the F1 My Career series, on Grand Prix 4. So I'm quite fond of that season for that as well. Let's talk about Benetton, shall we? What a bizarre case. Right up until 1995, they were on top of the world, Constructors Champions in 1995, Drivers Championship with Michael Schumacher, then they swapped in, Alesi and Berger for Herbert and Schumacher. got themselves, still had the works Renault engines at the time as well that Williams also had. And yet they never really managed to quite pull it off after 1995. And that's still very bizarre to me personally. Like, there were times where I think Berger talked about the car being very twitchy and unstable, on the rear, which apparently Schumacher was quite fond of. So, and especially if you take into consideration that Eddie Irvine already talked about, like, Schumacher apparently being terrible at setups, quote-unquote, because Eddie Irvine got Eddie Irvine in his interviews. My personal sort of conspiracy theory is that Michael Schumacher's window of how he wanted the car to behave was very small, and it worked perfectly for him, because he could just deal with that. But it was too small of a window for most other drivers, which I don't really blame other drivers for, to be completely honest, because, it's really difficult for me to judge this, because first of all, I'm not a professional racing driver. I don't pretend to be one. Second of all, like, what should be your goal as, like, an engineer? Should your goal be to create a car that can create, like, peak performance, maximum, like, potential output, but is very unstable in the process and therefore might alienate, a second driver or even, a few established drivers? Or would you prefer building a safer, more reliable, technologically as well as aerodynamically, a car that's easier to drive, quote-unquote, but might not have the top-end performance to compete with, Ferrari, Williams, or even McLaren? Completely agree, Williams were by far the strongest team, but didn't have the driver capable of dominating. Ferrari was second. Williams, I think, even in times, flipped for 97. Yeah, the thing is, when it comes to Williams and its drivers, like Frentzen, if we want to talk about Frentzen a bit more, I feel like he got a bit of a bad deal. But at the same time, the reason I'm very torn on it is because German media tried to flip it or present it in a way where he was totally unresponsible for his performances, where basically he couldn't have done any better, right? They portrayed it as if, oh, he couldn't have done any better. He had Damon's setup, the car didn't work, whatever. And to a degree, I'd say that's true on some, instances. Like, he lost his first podium because, his brakes failed, for example. So, but then there are times, the qualifying in Brazil and some other instances where it wasn't the car. You really can't say that it was the car, so it's a really icky situation. But yeah, German media got a German media, especially when it comes to German drivers. Also, this was the first season for Alex Wurz in the car, which was right before, Berger returned after, I think, his father died or something. And he then won in, the German Grand Prix, which was very impressive. That was his final win as well. So, yeah, late 90s Benetton. What a weird case. Oh, boy. Let's talk some Silver Arrows, shall we? Let's talk Mika Hakkinen, David Coulthard, and Nick Heidfeld, who, I don't know if he was part of the, like, McLaren Junior Drivers program already in 1997. He might have been, but I know he was in 1998 and 1999 especially. In 1998, in 1999, he won the F3000 championship, with, like, a McLaren suit and everything, McLaren livery. This was right before dominant McLaren kicked the doors in and went, oh yeah, we have the greatest car, on the grid now. F y'all. Man, I'd love to shoot the shit with you on 90s F1 topics. Dude, sometimes I feel rather awkward being in a position where I feel like I can't shoot the shit on F1, on, like, 90s F1, considering that not only was I born in 99, but also I'm not actually a big fan of nostalgia, which makes my tick for late 90s F1 really bizarre, but it does exist. I created a flipping my career that started in 1997, so, yeah, make of that what you will. Was sad to see Marlboro McLaren end. No kidding, I almost did a 1996 stream for Grand Prix World. Almost. But I feel like it's easier for me to work off of 1997 because I already did a my career season with 1997. And it's fascinating to me because McLaren in 1997, as much as people might also be nostalgic for 1998 and, the dominant McLaren period and everything, I almost feel like not only do I prefer the look of this car, I also feel like 97 McLaren was more interesting because it was so faulty. Kind of like 99 McLaren when they fucked up a lot of shit, The 2 times Mika Hakkinen just threw it into the wall, the multiple technical difficulties McLaren had in the beginning of the season. David Coulthard just, doing David Coulthard things in 1999. Whether that's, losing half a front wing, trying to overtake Mika Salo in Hockenheim, not being able to win the Luxembourg or European Grand Prix at the Nürburgring, throwing away the Constructors' Championship in Suzuka, all these little tidbits that to me make McLaren more interesting than just your, typical, dominant Formula 1 team, So that's why I feel like 1997 McLaren is quite an interesting case. Also, Mika Hakkinen desperately trying to win his first race is a brilliant storyline, befitting of professional wrestling, I'd say almost. Like him winning the final race of the season, already teasing the 1998 Australian Grand Prix team orders, already teasing the championship victory in 1998. Like, you couldn't have written that any better. You couldn't have written that any better. Brilliant. Absolutely magnificent storytelling. Which, again, another reason why 1997 is a brilliant season is because it's just loaded with stories. Like, it's loaded with interesting stories. I mean, you want to talk about interesting stories, there you fucking go. Arrow's Grand Prix with Damon Hill, the reigning world champion. Never looked like top or second team. Never even done third pass, but won 3 fucking races. Such a strange season. Yeah, absolutely. Arrows with Damon Hill. I mean, I like me some Damon Hill. I do like Damon. And I do feel like we, from a German perspective, always underrated Damon a bit because of the, German Schumacher bias. And 97 is bizarre because, again, the story of Damon not really being able to do anything with the arrows, sometimes being outperformed by Pedro flipping Diniz, only for him to go to Hungary and be like, yeah, I'm going to win this race, only for then his car to be like, no, you're not going to win this race, fuck you. Yeah, absolutely. Again, an incredible story, I'd say. Also, can I be real? I don't like the look of this car. I don't like the livery. It looks a bit like it looks like a touring car livery, if I'm completely honest. Like, it kind of looks like this half-dash, like, thrown together car that visually doesn't really make a lot of sense, But maybe that's just my opinion, On the other hand, this might be the prettiest car of the entire season. Jordan Grand Prix with the Ralph and the Fisichella. Discord is about to go boop. Yeah, it's about to go boop. No worries. Also, if you hear a doggo barking in the background, no worries. It's our dog, just having the time of his life. I hope. Also, if you hear some weird construction noises outside, there's some weird shit going on today, around my neighborhood. So don't be worried about that. First of all, I'm quite surprised that apparently Ricardo Zonta was a test driver for Jordan in 1997. Second of all, apparently Jordan, it was either Sam Michael or Gary Anderson who said this. Jordan originally, toyed with the idea of getting Nigel Mansell to drive one of the cars in 1997. And according to Gary Anderson or Sam Michael, again, I can't remember which one said this, they could have won a few races if they had Nigel in the car. Which, I don't know. I don't know my Nigel Mansell. My F1 history knowledge is there, but it's, very precise, if you know what I mean. It's very specific to a few points in history, like the late 90s, maybe the early 90s to a certain extent, which of course has a bit of Nigel all over it, but still. Early 2000s, maybe 2010s to a degree. Alright. So my father just got me my mail, which is very lovely. Let me just check that. Alright. Alright. I'll open that later on. It's quite the PSA, isn't it? My father just got me my mail, which is very lovely. Thumbs up for my dad. Insert the "you are my dad" meme. You are my dad. You're my dad. Boogie woogie woogie. Where was I? Yeah, Jordan Grand Prix. Which, again, I don't know my Nigel Mansell. Like, I don't know my Nige well enough to, like, rate that theory. Like, I don't know if you guys would agree with that theory that he would have won maybe, like, the Argentine Grand Prix or the German Grand Prix. Maybe some other Grand Prix I forgot at the moment. But, yeah, it's quite an interesting theory to think about, I think. Think. Repetition. Then this is my team, my originals, my sweet Prost Grand Prix. Oh dear. I mean, first of all I can say is go subscribe to Ash. Go subscribe to The Outside Line. Brilliant stuff. Brilliant Formula 1 1997 project for the PlayStation 1. Absolutely magnificent. I mean, even though in 1998 I'm with Jordan and we're trying our best to win a few races, I just lip-synced along to the Boogie Woogie Boogie. I hate myself. I feel ya. I mean, this still feels like my team, bizarrely enough, even though I never saw them live. Like, I never experienced the Prost Grand Prix team live, but Jesus Christ, they just have some magnificent cars, don't they? Like, their cars almost always look beautiful, at least from my point of view. Great shade of blue, a bit of yellow thrown in there, a bit of red thrown in there. It's just chef kiss all over the place. Again, we might pick Prost for tonight because I want to see how far we can get with their budget, you know, which we might just check in for in a second. Top stuff. Yeah, he does. He does great. He does great shit, you know. But yeah, Prost Grand Prix. Still feel like they're my homies or something. Now, are we all ready for the Sauber debate? Or as I like to call it, should Sauber have done better in Formula 1 during their 90s Red Bull period? Because at least according to German media, they should have. Like, basically German media expected Sauber to be like top tier in 1996 because, you know, Frentzen bias and everything. They basically expected them to be where McLaren went, you know, further down the line, being like the third best car, which, let's be fair, they never really were, like, until the BMW days. But I think it's quite interesting because, like, have Sauber overperformed or underperformed during their time in F1? Because I feel like the general consensus is they overperformed in the way that they were always able to finance themselves properly, but they underperformed considering the expectations and the financial stability they enjoyed during the 90s and 2000s, if you know what I'm saying. Like, it's really weird. Like, they're one of those teams that is really difficult for me to grasp, especially during this period, because, like, 97 was alright for them, 98 was okay-ish, 99 and 2000, we don't talk about those years, 2001, they just randomly became 4th, and then 02, 03, 04, 05, like, nothing really happened. Like, nothing ever really happened until, like, BMW came along and bought him, and then sold him back at the end of 2009 to Peter Sauber because, you know, financial crisis and everything. I always had a soft spot for Sauber. I mean, you know, Germany does have a soft spot for Sauber as well, you know, because of the basically because of the Frentzen and Mercedes connections in the beginning, so they got a lot of, like, airtime in Germany. During a time where basically only Schumacher got, like, a lot of media attention, they got at least some attention, and therefore it was, I think, easier for, like, German audiences to relate to them as a group. But yeah, Johnny Herbert, Nicola Lorini, Mr. Fontana, almost feels like a weird alternative universe, like, touring car lineup, but okay. Speaking of Red Bull, everyone, this is what Red Bull started as in Formula 1. Stuart Grand Prix, sponsored and basically owned by Ford. With Rubinho, the Magnussen, and a guy I don't know. Yeah, 1997, I think they only finished in the points once, but they finished on the podium in Monaco, so good on them. I always forget Fizzy drove for them in 04. Felt so random. True, absolutely. Like, I also tend to forget that, like, Jacques Villeneuve drove for Sauber for, like, 2 seasons, because that also seems like some weird alternate universe shit. But yeah, Stuart Grand Prix, aka what we now know today as Red Bull, or what we used to know as Jaguar. With legendary drivers such as Antonio Pizzonia, Christian Klein, or anybody else I could think of on top of my head? Maybe Luciano Burti. Might count as like an odd reference. But yeah, Stuart Grand Prix. I mean, in a way, they were like the last like F3000 stalwart to get into Formula 1. Like, which was the last like Grand Prix, or like not Grand Prix 2, but like what was the last GP2 Formula 2 junior team that got into Formula 1? I think it might have been Stuart, you know? Like, who joined after this? Toyota joined in 2002. Like, Super Aguri joined, but they didn't really have a junior background. You could argue Campos / HRT and Virgin / Marussia kinda did, but not like fully, you know, like not like it wasn't like super duper Stuart way. You know, it's really like F1 doesn't really do the implementation of the like it doesn't really like bring up junior teams anymore, which again I would think it would be cool to see maybe teams like Prema like join the F1 grid one day, you know, especially considering the budget cap, but that's not gonna fucking happen anytime soon. Tyrrell, right before they were bought by British American Tobacco in 1998 with Jos the Boss Verstappen, Mika Salo, and already Toru Takagi as a test driver. And you might as well notice the not so beautiful and also probably not very effective X-Wings on the picture right here. Yeah, that was right before the proper like final breath for Tyrrell, you know. Not much I can say really, to be completely honest with you. It's just it's Tyrrell, you know. They didn't score a single point in my 1997 my career season, so make of that what you will. And finally, the ugliest car on the grid. It's the Minardi. Things never change. Well, arguably not. Back then, German media glorified Sauber because of Frentzen bias. I mean, I don't even know if I'd call it glorifying, but like, they wanted to glorify them. You know, like they wanted Sauber to be a top team, even though everybody kind of knew that they weren't going to be a top team, you know. I can't speak for Polish media because, you know, I don't speak Polish, but, you know. And by the way, if I had spent like 5 more minutes of my precious time, you know, trying to get this to work, I could have had Lola MasterCard instead of either Minardi, Tyrrell, or Stewart, you know. At least some Polish media. Again, I can't really judge that because I don't speak Polish, but, you know, I'll take your word for it for now. How dare you? How dare I? I mean, you have... I mean, let's look at this. You have a beautiful Williams, a beautiful Ferrari, a different but very beautiful Benetton, beautiful McLaren, me burping in the background, the Arrows, which is... it's there. Again, kind of looks like a touring car to me. Great car, arguably great car. Nice looking car. Again, gotta show some love for the X-Wings. And then you have this blob of a car. Like, I do like me some Minardi cars, don't get me wrong. Right? Like, the 96 Minardi looks okay, the 1999 Minardi looks nice, the flipping 2000 Minardi looked way better than it had any right to be, okay? Like, that car looked way too beautiful not to have scored any points in 2000, let's be real. Alright, let's be real. The 2001 and 2002 Minardis looked pretty cool, 2003 looked okay-ish, you know, so I love my Minardis, but I'm sorry, Josh. No fucking way. Also, peak Yarno truly looking at me going, yeah, I know I'm driving this car. I'm an F1 driver now. Also, final season for Ukyo Katayama, you know? That's a tidbit. Alright, so who shall we pick? I mean, I'd already said that I would love to pick Prost, you know? Maybe Jordan. I mean, Sauber might be an option, but I don't really want to associate myself any further with Red Bull, you know, for personal reasons. Also, I kind of feel like we just meander around in the midfield, so make of that what you will. Like, Arrows is a weird case because Arrows always felt both really sketchy, but also, like, bizarrely competent from the outside. I'm feeling so young right now. How so? Why do you feel young? Like, is it because you can't relate to F1 97, or is it because you grew up with it and you're kind of reminded of that era? Like, I don't know why you feel young. I am young, though. Like, I'm only flipping 22 and I'm doing this with my time. Like, I'm really torn on this because I'd want to do this more often on stream as kind of like a way for me to chill out, and I don't want to say vent, which is a discussion I had with, like, Josh yesterday about, like, you know, using streams as kind of a cathartic way to get a few things off your chest in a strange way. And this might be my game to do it, because as much as I love F1 97, I feel like F1 97 would be better for, like, special streams, like, you know, a championship and an entire stream and all that jazz. But, you know, because I was born after 2000. Oh, okay. I was born in 1999. Yeah, if you want to do Prost, do it, but I would love to see you take Arrows to a win. Josh, here's the thing. I wouldn't be able to take them to a win. I suck at this game. Like, here's how I play this game, right? I choose Sauber, but if you want Prost, go for it. Like, the thing with me and this game, right, is that Grand Prix World, it is possible to be successful in Grand Prix World, especially if you have, like, a good financial basis. But I'm the kind of pleb who will make a team, like, who will build a team into a world championship powerhouse only for them to go bankrupt after winning the title. Like, that's my strats. And here you talk about some fact in that time. It's a bit strange. Yeah, maybe it is strange, but I'm having a good time. Oh dear. You know what? We're gonna pick Arrows because I've just had a brilliant idea in my head, you know? Because Arrows is using their absolutely god-awful 1997 Yamaha engines, which you may or may not remember. What if we kept Damon Hill on board and tried to actually build something out of the mess that is Tom Walkinshaw's racing team? I think that might be okay-ish. I mean, you could still try Prost later on in another context, but for now, let's make the Josh Kazar happy. Let's do some Arrows, boys. Also Jörg Müller, because touring car racing. Alright, so this is our main screen, everybody. Enjoy it while you can. Looks a bit scuffed, because again, this game was released in 1999. I'll go through everything. For the benefit of explaining this game to Mr. James early. New player in Formula 1. Arrows has given a warm welcome to new boss Simon Core. Dear God, that doesn't sound right. Great things are expected of this new team owner. So basically, we yeeted Tom Walkinshaw out of the team as far as I can tell. New funding levels. So this is where it starts, alright? We're gonna get ourselves a bit of Concord money, right? We're gonna get ourselves a bit of the Concord cash, which is nice. which is actually more than I expected. We're getting $10 million, everybody. $10 million. That sounds nice, doesn't it? I mean, we can see all of our finances here, you know, the sponsors, tire, fuel, all that good jazz, because, and this is why I wanted to point out that this is a business management simulation thingy. If you fuck up your finances, it's done. And it is very easy to fuck up your finances in Grand Prix World, trust me. I've managed that multiple times. It is possible to fuck up your finances even if you're successful, right? Yamaha powered car with no Japanese driver too, as they usually came as a package deal. I'll talk about engines and driver connections like in a second. Like the fun story that I can tell is that back in like 2009, when I was like in or was it already in like high school? But like at some point in my life in like a music class, I saw like a piano, right? Like it must have been elementary school. I saw like a piano, right? And it had Yamaha written on it. And that was, I think, the same time that I got F197. And so when I looked at the manual, right, where they had like the engines and the cars listed, I was very confused as to why the engine was named the way, was named the same as a piano. Like I didn't get it. And to this day, I find it to be sort of bizarre, but you know, late 90s F1 for you, where pianos can fuel your dreams of winning championships or something. All right, let's look at the drivers, shall we? We have Mr. Damon Hill, who costs us $8 million this season. You know? And we'd have to pay him $2.5 million if he happens to win the championship, which is not going to happen, but still, you know. Mr. Pedro Diniz, on the other hand, is paying us $9 million for him to race this year. And we have to pay $800,000 to Mr. York Miller, which, I mean, he's a competent driver and all, but, you know, we'll talk about how we can cut that in a second. We have the commercial managers, which is very important when it comes to negotiating sponsorship deals and engine deals and all that good jazz, so we'll talk about that in a second as well. We have the designers, with a guy I don't know. We have the engineering department with Frank Durney, of all people. Didn't know he worked for Arrows in 1997. And the mechanics department. And what's interesting is that you can both hire people for that department. You know, you can hire the chief, like for example Stefano Domenicali, and all the other people whose names I don't know. But you can hire like people who are in charge of your department, like the commercial department, the engine department, the mechanical department, etc. But you can also increase the number of people working for these departments, and therefore improve the infrastructure as well as the base level you can work with, which I find to be very cool. So it's not just one number rising or falling, it's multiple aspects you have to think about for like the team to function. And again, it's a matter of where do I invest my money, where can I cut people, where can I like, you know, find a few good deals. Like this is quite nice, I find. Yamaha pianos and Yamaha engine origin from the same company, so they're kind of the same. Yeah. Again, it's really, it's just very strange to me, you know. Also, if you hear some weird nasal noises, I apologize for that. They might sound disgusting, but my nose is just, my nose doesn't appreciate winter. It just doesn't, you know. I do appreciate winter. I love winter. I love snow. I love the cold and dark depths of, you know, winter aesthetics, but my nose doesn't, you know. But yeah, we have multiple departments that we have to take care of, again, that with certain costs, race bonuses, championship bonuses, and also like a morale meter, which might come in handy later on. So just treat your employees nicely is all what I'm saying, you know. Don't be a dick to your employees. Also, apparently, we're the greatest team owner in the history, or not in the history of Formula 1, but like we're the greatest team owner in Formula 1 simply because we're there, and simply because we happen to choose the team with the A, you know, instead of the B or the F or the J or the M, or another M, or the P or the S or the S or the T or the W. And I had to get through the entire alphabet there just to explain that this leaderboard is bullshit. But that's neither here nor there. Now, when it comes to the spicy parts, let's talk about chassis development, which is sort of dependent on who you hired as a chief designer, but also on the infrastructure, because basically the more people you have available, the quicker you can do stuff, right? The more people you have available, the more testing you can do, the more spare parts you can build, the more cars you can build, the more upgrades you can do at the same time. And that's kind of where I feel like Grand Prix World rather replicates like F1 rather well, despite, as Rezor mentioned, the ranking system being a bit bizarre. It does replicate the importance of money and infrastructure rather well, because it's never enough just to get the best people in, you know, but you also have to build the infrastructure for these people to flourish, you know? I could get Adrian Newey, Ross Braun, Stefano Domenicali, and if I still have my same shitty, like, wannabe F1 shed, you know, to build out of, I'm not going to be able to get the very best out of these people, you know? And I'm not saying that other management games can't do that, but I always felt like it was easier for me to grasp what's going on in Grand Prix World than it is in a game like Motorsport Manager. Apart from the fact that, you know, this game is a bit easier on my eyes, if I'm being completely honest. Like, I never really appreciated the art style of Motorsport Manager. Like, it always felt a bit too shiny for my taste. It felt more like a smartphone game, which ironically enough it is nowadays, but, you know, I prefer this kind of sleek, simple, yeah, it's a 2D game, get on with it, you know, get over yourself, get on with it. But yeah, also there were some things you had to go through to actually know how good your 1997 car actually is. You know, you can also theoretically already start work on your 1998 car if you just so happen to have nobody around in your factory, which we might be confronted with because we're still just Arrow's plebs. And so theoretically, you could already start building your 1998 car. However, we don't know the 1998 regulations yet, so we might basically just build an absolute machine, but then it turns out, whoops, it's illegal already. Need to restart all over again, which wouldn't be very nice, but then again, it might be easier for you to deal with that if your car happens to be legal. They just look like game manuals to a degree, but I feel like the thing with 90s games, right, is that you can see that they were created for PC screens and not smartphone screens, if you know what I'm saying. Like, Motorsport Manager looks as if it could run on a smartphone with the way with its like very blocky like menu, like user interface and all that. And again, I'm not saying that's bad per se, but that's not what I'm personally looking for in a management game. Especially when it's trying to replicate something as specific as Formula 1. Because to me, Motorsport Manager never felt like an F1 management game. It always felt like it was trying to combine different elements of different motorsports and trying to find like the best bases from everything, if you know what I'm saying, you know? Like the smallest common denominator, which generally I won't criticize, but at the same time, it's not what I'm looking for, you know? Again, you can have your car go through different facilities, you know, CFD, model design, wind tunnel. You can, you know, rent a wind tunnel. You can also build one yourself, depending on your financial situation. We have about like 1.7 million in the bank right now. Also, we can see our engine is kind of shit, you know. And since we have a partner deal and not a works deal, we can't really change anything about it, which is also something we'll get on about in a second. We have Bridgestone tires, which is neat, because they were basically a kind of a secret weapon in 1997, you know. Depending on the track, they could either be like okay-ish or an absolutely amazing kind of rubber, depending on where you went, you know. We have Elf Fuel, because why not? Let's just look at our car for a second, right? Look at this. This just screams late 90s, early 2000s management game, doesn't it? God, my nose is... I mean, we have some funny sponsors like Remus and Parmalat, Zepter, Power Horse. Like, who remembers Remus? Does anybody remember Remus? I don't. But But here's the thing, right? When it comes to the, and this is my favorite part of the game, to be honest, right? Everything we've talked about so far is cool, but this is my favorite part. As far as I'm aware, in Motorsport Manager, you can't really do sponsorships beyond like 10 or 12 races. Like, you lose some sponsorship, you gain some sponsorship. You have none of that in this game. Basically, from the beginning of the 1997 season, you have to think about whom you're going to hire for 1998 when it comes to sponsorship. That's the most uncanny valley F1 car I've ever seen. Might just be. Maybe. Who knows? Hey everybody, it's Aiden here once again. Okay, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't know if anybody's going to get that reference, but... YouTube jazz music, please just never change. Just looks off. Yeah, but, you know, it's a mod for, like, a game that was never really made for 3D graphics, so it's the best we'll get. Now, the cool thing about Grand Prix World is that you have to take care of 1998 sponsorship during 1997, which is something I appreciate. And it's cool because not only do we have, like, the real sponsorships, like all the terrible tobacco companies that I don't really like, but we have to get on with, all the engine manufacturers, the 2 tire manufacturers. It doesn't stop there. The way this game works is that when you negotiate with with Mercedes, for example, you can either pay to get their engines, to get the Mercedes V10, and they might even reject that because, look, we don't want money from Arrows. We don't want money from Arrows. No, we don't want money from Tom Walkinshaw. He doesn't have that anyway. Like, you'd either have to pay for them, you get them for free as a partner deal, which we have right now with Yamaha, where it's basically, yeah, you get them for free, but you don't really get any perks. You just happen to have an engine, you know, and you have our logo on your car or whatever. Or, and this is what you all want, you get a works deal, where Renault or Mercedes or Peugeot pay you to run their engines, which is great for the bank, great for, you know, R&D. That's what we want, right? That's what you want when you start this game. You want works deals, and you want a team sponsor, because they have the cash, let me tell you. You know, those are the two, from my experience, those are the 2 most important, like, financial pillars in Grand Prix World. Get a team sponsor, get a works deal, maybe try and save on, like, the tire and fuel front if you can, and you'll be good to go. Now, if you're like Jordan, Ferrari, McLaren, Williams, that won't be an issue, right? Which is also great about this game. If you have enough reputation as a team, if you're like a top tier F1 team, you'll have a works engine in no time. You'll have you'll have a team sponsor in no time, because people want to sponsor you, right? People want to be associated with your brand, you know? That's some great modern terminology. Brand. Like, people want to be associated with you. But when it comes to Arrows and Stewart and Minardi, like, it's very difficult to get sponsorship, which, again, is realistic and is a challenge, but I appreciate that challenge. And I think Arrows is in this weird in-between position where I'd see somebody sponsoring us long-term, but I'd also see people just going, nah, fuck off. We don't want to be associated with your piece of shit brand. Like, I could see both things happening in this save file, you know? And again, if you want to be financially stable in Grand Prix World, you better get yourself a team sponsor and a works engine deal, you know? Like, you can also theoretically get, like, a works tire deal, at least in the original. I don't know if you can in this mod. Let me just check. You can. Like, Prost, for example, they... No, as of right now, nobody has a works tire deal. But we can see that you could theoretically get a works Bridgestone deal for 1998, right? So if we pursued Bridgestone, right? With 10% of our, like, negotiating, like, marketing commercial staff, right? If we played our cards right, we could basically get paid to run Bridgestone tires in 1998, which, you know, would be pretty neat. Same thing with Mercedes or Peugeot or Renault, you know, if we pursue them, there might just be a teeny tiny bit of a shot that we could get a works deal for 1998. Also, what's kind of funny about this game is that you could have Ferrari theoretically get a Works Mercedes deal, which is pretty hilarious because let's not forget all the other teams are doing the exact same thing as you, right? Which is also great about this game. You can have Schumacher go to McLaren Mercedes, you could have David Coulthard go to Ferrari, you could have Ferrari get themselves a few Mercedes engines, you could have McLaren go, go into another bad relationship with Peugeot. You can have all that weird fantasy multiverse BS, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant, it's amazing, it's a ton of fun. And again, it's difficult for me to describe it, but that's why I'm trying to show you people why I love this game. Again, my first goal would just be to get like a works deal and a team sponsorship from 1998 running, because as of right now, we have neither, which isn't good. Yamaha can fuck right off. Ford, we could try and pursue Ford because they offer works deals. Let me just see if Yamaha would be up for like a works deal. So apparently no. With a Merc engine would be madness. Absolutely. Absolutely would be madness, but that's kind of what this game is about. This game is about pure late 90s madness. Like that's basically what this game is about, It's about creating, and that's why I appreciate this game more over Motorsport Manager as well. It's easier for me to get invested in like the alternative universes that can happen through Grand Prix World than it is for me to get invested in like fantasy scenarios in Motorsport Manager, because Motorsport Manager still feels very modern in its like user interface and its approach to racing and the way it presents itself and structures its gameplay, while this feels like proper 1990s Formula 1, if you know what I'm talking about. Which again, I love this. I'm having a great time playing this already, and I'm just clicking shit. We're just trying to negotiate with everybody, get a few people in, like see if there'd be any interest, because what might as well happen is that everybody tells us to fuck off. So I'd rather not invest like our entire staff into like negotiations with these brands, because it might as well be useless. The Ferrari, Mercedes-Benz, it's the best thing, absolutely. It's the bestest. It's the most bizarrest, and it's the bestest. Fuel doesn't really matter as much, but if we can get some cash, I'm not gonna say no to cash. Also, we have Winfield already, which is interesting because that's the tobacco brand that sponsored Williams in 1998 with the Red Williams. I think they were like part of like what's like the bigger like umbrella company? What's it called? It's not BAT, is it? Like, is it Philip Morris? I don't know. We have PlayStation, we have Power Horse, we have a bunch of brands probably nobody remembers. We have Silicon Graphics. Get out your Nintendo 64 references. We have Silicon Graphics. I don't like the N64 as much as other people do, but still. We have the beer. I don't like beer. Fuck off. But yeah, it's again, to me, it's easier to get invested into like this atmo of late 90s F1 with a game like Grand Prix World, personally. Also, if that wasn't enough, it's not just that you like shuffle around like your staff and everything. Oh no, you can invite sponsors to races. Like, for example, the Australian Grand Prix is up. So we can just go, all right, I want 5% of my staff to pamper around West and maybe Rothmans and Gaulois, smoking is bad for you. And we can just invest money into pampering them, into giving us money. like basically doing the full-on paddock club BS, and I love it. I love it. Yeah, I think it is Philip Morris, yeah. But let's just get back to the to our drivers, because I personally wouldn't like the unrealistic chaos like Scuderia, Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes-Benz. Yeah, I get it. And I wish there was a way to like avoid it for people who don't enjoy this. This game is already amazing. Yeah, not like it's only gonna get better. Trust me. Like, I wish there was a way in modding to avoid this, because I get that it could kind of take you out of the experience, but like, you gotta love some Ferrari and Mercedes, right? You gotta love it. Australian GP costs too much. Oh, we'll talk about money in a second. Like, we'll be fucking broke at the end of the season, let me tell you that much. All right, let's start with the test driver. Now, Jörg Müller, he's not even that good in this game, as I can see right here. I mean, we have, you know, overtaking skills, speed, all that good jazz, experience, concentration, whatever. Like, most of this is just important for the races, you know? Especially the wet weather skills. Like, those can, like, get you some real nice results, you know? Like, those can get you some real cool results, you know, even if your car is terrible. But basically, you can save some money with a test driver, especially with someone like Jörg Müller, who in this game is almost a bit underrated, I'd say. I mean, he won the 1996 F3000 championship, so I'd cut him a bit of slack. But let me just check how much Mr. Montoya costs. I mean, look at this. Montoya costs 100,000 more, right? He wants less of a championship bonus, which is hilarious considering he's a test driver. But he has more speed, more skill, better overtaking skills. I mean, his only weakness compared to Muller would be stamina and wet weather, which wouldn't be that much of an issue considering he'd only be a test driver. But at the same time, I'd like to wait for Montoya to, like, improve his skills and then to potentially hire him as a driver down the road. Because, again, I like me some Montoya, you know? And the thing is, Montoya... Like, 1997 Montoya, as good as he was, I feel like isn't nearly as brilliant as, like, 1998 or even 1999 Montoya. Neither here nor in the Grand Prix World games and mods. So, I don't know. We also have non-F1 drivers, like Jean-Christophe Bouillon, who everybody forgot about, I think. Who is alright, but then again, I don't know if I'd pay, like, $920,000 for him per season. We have Alex Zanardi, Forza Alex, for $2.5 million bucks again. Wishing him all the best, wherever he is at the moment. He joined F1 in 1999, I think. Back at that time, he was in kart, as far as I'm aware. Marc Genet, who would go on to drive for Minardi, who isn't really that impressive here, it seems. Who do we have? Oh, the Lola boys. Is that my boy? Is that my boy the Tosser for $300,000? Yeah, I'm gonna pass. Also Vincenzo Sospiri for $900,000. Again, like, they're all very similar, so I'm still looking for a good deal, you know? I'm still looking for a better deal for, like, a very cheap test driver, if I'm completely honest with you. Also, we have Mr. Pedro Della Rosa, 2 years before his Formula 1 debut, and oh boy, does it show. Like, to be real with you guys, in the stock game, the test drivers aren't super duper performative as well, but they're cheaper. Like, a great thing about Grand Prix World is that you have pay drivers like Pedro Diniz in our team, which is a great way to save money, you know? At the same time, I'd love to have someone as a test driver who isn't that expensive. Maybe Mr. Esteban Tuero for $500,000. Or maybe not. Maybe Mr. Wilson from Brazil, who is about as good as Mr. Miller. Jason Watt. Who remembers Jason Watt? Like, why Tosser isn't a pay driver? How? I don't know. Watt's a bit of a tragic story because, as far as I'm aware, he was like third in the 98 or 99 F3000 championship and then had like an incredibly heavy accident like in the off season and got like horribly injured. So I hope he's doing okay these days. 880,000. Yeah. I don't know, guys. Give me your suggestions. Whom should we hire as a test driver for 1997 or even 1998? You know, should we hire the Zonta? I mean, Zonta's all right, but then again, I would only like. I don't want to pay more than 800K for like a test driver. You know, like. I want to save a bit of money. You know, how much does Heidfeld cost though? Not that much cheaper. I mean, he's only 19, but Tarzo Marquez 740. Oh dear Jesus. But at least you're good at overtaking some people. Hooray. Honestly, I might as well just keep Müller at this stage. Might as well keep the Müller. Might as well keep the Jörg. Might as well keep at the F3000 champion. Now, for financial benefits only, I'm gonna keep Mr. Diniz on board for 2 seasons as a number 2 driver, because of course. And he's not happy with my terms of contract because apparently we're shit. And the contract is too short. Alright, we'll remember that. We'll still be able to sign him though, don't worry. Like, it might take a few rounds, but we're gonna be able to sign Diniz for 98 and also probably 99. But yeah, when it comes to our lead driver, Mr. Damon Hill, there's a part of me that wants to keep Damon around for the story of Hungary 1997 and potentially, you know, a better 1998 season, but at the same time, he's pretty expensive, like $8 million for $8 million. We don't really have $8 million, you know? Let's compare this for a second. Let's take Jean Alesi, who costs $6 million, who's a bit worse off, but not too bad in comparison, who's also only 32. We have Mr. Berger for about 6 million with 4 dots for speed, surprisingly enough. Can't blame Dimmers for wanting a longer deal, given at this stage he still kind of sucked. What do you mean still? Like it almost makes him sound like a good driver, which like Diniz. Like, I don't really have any hot takes or cold takes about Diniz. Like, he was there. He drove cars. Vroom, vroom. Do we have $24 million? No, we don't. We don't. We do not. But look at those stats. Jesus H. Christ. Yeah. Eddie Irvine, for $5.5 million, he's okay-ish with the stats. But I don't want to sign Eddie Irvine, to be completely frank. Johnny Morbidelli. Yeah, nah. Not the Morbidelli. Mr. Fisichella might be an option, depending on his stats, and, especially by 90s pay driver standards. Yeah, I mean, kinda, but the thing is, maybe because I grew up in, like, the 2000s, my standards for, like, good drivers are a bit too high in comparison, if you know what I mean. Also, I mean, to be fair, if you compare him to people like Jean-Denis Delatraz, I definitely agree with you, or the Tasso Rosset, so there's not even a debate there. How much does the Ralph cost? 2.8 million for the Ralph. See, this is the thing. As much as I don't want to pay $8 million, it seems as if Damon does have quite the stats in this mod, you know? Which, to be honest, I didn't really expect, because in the original, he doesn't have these stats, I think. Like, if we compare these, like, the only guy that could reach him so far on a consistent basis is Hakkinen, who's actually cheaper than Hill. Don't tell me we could get Mika in for this car, for this team. What about Rubens? We're gonna get to Rubens in a second, trust me. I haven't forgotten about Rubinho. Again, the problem is I'm kind of getting off the, I'm kind of thinking of the original, like, skills for Grand Prix World, the 1998 edition, so I'm not sure how those translate here. Also, everybody's favorite pay driver, the Shinji. Yeah. AKA the guy I replaced in my 1997 season. You know? Wait a minute. Huh. Olivier Panis has entered the chat. What is Delatraz doing exactly? What is he doing? Olivier Panis. I mean, I'd love to sign Panis simply because I want him to win at least one more race. But again, I don't know how this mod is balanced. I've never tried this mod long term, right? So I don't know if he's just gonna win races simply by, like, driving for Prost in 1997. I'd hope he does, you know? Because he should have won at least one race in 1997. Maybe a hot take, I don't know. Johnny Herbert, his stats aren't... Like, again, I'm trying to weigh up stats compared to, like, how much they cost. And, I mean... I'm sorry, Johnny, I'm gonna have to look for Rubens, and, those stats are doing Panis dirty. Yeah, especially, like 1996, 97, Panis was way better than those stats would tell you. You know? Like, Panis in that 97 Prost was a fucking rocket. You know? Like... The thing is, Rubens would be a good option theoretically, but again, he costs $4 million. And, like, I feel like we could get a better deal out of the grid, you know? Jesus Christ, Magnussen. Like, according to this game, Jan Magnussen might have not even deserved a Formula 1 seat. Yeah, that also his career is quite a strange odyssey, isn't it, Mr. Jan Magnussen? Mika Salo, he was 30 already at that time? I didn't know that. I thought he was younger. Would have thought he was a bit younger, but okay. What has Yas to offer? Nah. Wait a minute, how does Villeneuve compare to... Oh! Don't tell me we could have... Don't tell me the Jacques is cheaper than the Hill and actually has sort of better stats. Like, his speed is better, his skill isn't as good, but his overtaking is better, his wet weather isn't as good, okay, his concentration and his experience lack kinda, his morale is really fucking high. Like, they're comparable, you know? Like, are we ready to have the Jacques Villeneuve debate? Like, whether or not Jacques was over or underrated in his time? I don't know. How much does Heinz Harald cost? Ooh. Ooh, boy. Do we want the Heinz Harald? Let me just see if we can get him for 5.6, because we're not gonna get Damon for under 9 million. I can tell you that much. Like, this game's negotiations are very, very weird. Like, you can't really negotiate people downwards. You always have to pay them more. You know? Always. No matter the scenario, no matter the context. 3 seasons. Heinz-Harald Frentzen is happy with some of the terms of the deal, but has refused your offer because your team is not very good, the salary is shit, the race bonus doesn't exist, and the contract is way too fucking long. A roundtable discussion is needed on that one. Oh dear. Oh Dios mio. Just for shits and giggles, I'm gonna see if I could get Villeneuve for 9 million. I don't think I could, but let's just see. Also, let's just up the championship bonus because he's not going to win the championship with us anyway. Nope. Not gonna happen. The thing is, I'd like the sympathy pick would be Panis, but the stats don't really reflect his true skill in 97, you know? Also, we'd be able to save a lot of cash, like we'd be able to save about $6 million, so 3 seasons. Salary's not high enough, okay. I don't want to sign the Ralph. We might go for Hakkinen just to see if he'd be interested. 2, 3 seasons. 8.6. Nope. Not interested. No fucking way. And see, if we took the exact same settings that we've signed Damon under right now, you know, if we do the exact same deal, but let's say 2 more seasons, he's not gonna take it. At all, he's not gonna take it. He's basically telling us he doesn't want to drive for us, but he still does because the money was good, you know? Kinda like real Damon Hill in 1997, am I right? Yeah. Oh dear. Ah, damn. Again, I'd love to sign Panis, but the stats don't really reflect his true skill in 97. I mean, we could go for Rooms, but once again, like, the skills don't really reflect his true potential. 80 grand, 3 seasons, fuck it. Salary's not high. Again, we can renegotiate with them, like, after the Australian Grand Prix, but oh boy, it doesn't look too good. When it comes to commercial managers, I'd love to get someone who's good at his job, you know? Like, I want either this guy, or Domenicali. Like, I want to have at least a 4-star commercial manager. Hill doesn't like arrows too much. Yep, he doesn't. He fucking doesn't. And also, apparently, I dropped 832 frames. I hope the stream's okay for you all. I hope you can see everything. I hope you can hear everything. If there are any technical difficulties, please let me know. I'm scared. Mr. Domenicali, would you like to join us for $800,000, 8% royalties, and 2 seasons? Oh, fuck off. See, but that's the thing, like, sometimes, like, after pampering them for long enough, they will be like, oh, fuck it, I'll just take the contract, just shut up and give me my money, you know? Mr. Samey, 9%, 2 seasons. Nope. Mr. Wright, $600,000. Again, we kind of have to pamper them with, like, royalties and shit, because otherwise they would never join us. The 97 arrows is gorgeous. Shut up, Josh. Nope. Like, again, I don't want to sign a 3-star or even a 2-star, like, commercial director, because, like, you can get a lot of mileage out of commercial directors in this game, from my experience. Nope. Like, again, I don't want to sign a 3-star or even a 2-star, like, commercial director, because, like, you can get a lot of mileage out of commercial directors in this game, from my experience. Can you hear me? Oh, for fuck. See, there are perks to living in Germany, you know, like a social security system. That's okay-ish. Sometimes. Not really, but it's okay-ish. I have a roof above my head. I don't have to worry about too many things, but Jesus H. Christ, the internet is a disaster. It is, trust me. yeah, our internet connection just died. Our router just went, nope. You ain't doing this shit today, my man. So yeah. If anybody is still with me, hello. I hope this still works. I don't know if it does, but no, might as well try. We can hear you. That's good. That's a start. Oh dear. I mean, I'd say don't use like internet provider XYZ, but at the same time, they're all kind of terrible over here. Continue game, no. Saved games, yes. See, Big Brain me was at least smart enough to save the game right before we had our little intermission, you know? So last thing we did was we looked at potential designers, I think, for 98. And I was about to say that even if we did hire someone like Adrian Newey, right? Which we could, theoretically. Their performance and their wisdom would only be applicable to our 1999 car. Because our 1998 car is developed by this dude who I'm not gonna insult because I actually don't know who this guy is, but, you know. Also, I have a bowl of soup with me now because I was frustrated and I felt like I needed something like this to calm me down. So if you hear any soup noises, that's why. God damn it. Like, we were kind of on a roll here, you know? I was having a good time, I was chatting with you all, and all of a sudden the internet just goes, nope. Nope, that's going to be great for the rerun, you know? That's going to be great for when I eventually actually do, like, a highlight video of a stream of mine. That's going to be fantastic. Now I'm not going to say I'm pissed, but I'm, like, a bit annoyed, you know? Because it actually went well. Hi, Josh! German internet is a disaster. Like, I was about to explain that even if we hired someone like Adrian Newey for 1998... his wisdom and his abilities wouldn't be applicable until 1999 because the 1998 car is still developed by this numbnuts, whom I don't know. So basically, either way, we're fucked for 1998, you know? Which sounds like fun. So I'm a bit more lenient when it comes to the chief designer. Though I'd love to have someone like Newey or Rory Byrne. It just would be cool, wouldn't it? To have Adrian Newey, like, to not have him go to McLaren, but have him go to, like, fucking Arrows. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Also, I'd be willing to invest, like, up to $2 million for someone like Newey. Even though we're only paying $400,000 for, like, this person. And the thing is, they can be quite lenient with their, like, when it comes to, like, your team and its reputation. Like, the designers can be a bit more lenient when it comes to all that jazz. So we're gonna try ourselves a bit of the Newey genius. He doesn't want to. Not interested. Mr. Rory Byrne for $1,800,000. I suppose that's not gonna be realistic either. No, but I feel like we could kinda... We could still, you know, convince him to join us. You know, if we annoy him long enough, that it is. Neil Oatley. Mr. Oatmeal himself. Maybe he'll join us, you know. Oh, okay. Neil Oatley has accepted your offer and wants to sign a deal with you. Neil Oatley is ready to join at the start of 1998. Now, this is interesting because not only are we now absolutely sure that we're going to have an okay-ish car for 1999 if things go well, if we survive until then, we do not have to sign Neil Oatley if we don't want to, right? We could still gamble on getting Adrian Newey if we wanted to, which is another great feature of this game. Like, if you feel ballsy, you can just go, no, fuck Neil Oatley, I want that Adrian Newey magic, which I'm not gonna do that, we're Arrows, fuck that. I will get Neil Oatley. I'm gonna get me some Neil Oatly. Gonna get me some oatmeal and some soup because I'm annoyed. Also, again, if we're having any technical difficulties, please let me know. I'm still a bit worried about that. Like, I'm happy I didn't have nearly as many, like, internet problems as I used to have a few years ago. Which is also one of the reasons why I was very, like, demotivated about, like, sim racing as a hobby. Because if half of the time your internet just dies during a race, you're kind of not in the mood for doing it anymore, if I'm completely honest. But, you know. Also, how many people can we fit in the design department? Okay, 40. Frank Durney, like, can we keep him? Like, he seems okay. Can we keep him? Like, how much would Ross Braun, you have said on my, yes? No, I want to keep Frank Durney. 2.5, just do your thing. I'm not precisely sure what you're doing exactly, but alright, you want to stay with us. Okay, that's good. That's neat. Also, I feel like the delay might be a bit heavier now that we're back, but, you know, better than nothing, I guess. Again, we can't hire more than 40 people for our, like, engineering department, which, again, is okay-ish, but, you know. Some good old soup to calm me down. Again, this is going to be great for the highlight video. Chief Mechanic, not as important, I feel like. Like, I'd go for, like, a 3-star Chief Mechanic, maybe. Also, just so you know, all of these stats are fluctuating. So we could theoretically hire Adrian Newey as a 5-star designer, and next season he's a 4-star designer. Season after that, he's a 3-star designer, because he realized what kind of a shit show McLaren was going to become in the early 2000s. So, you know. But it's always kind of a gamble hiring people, because you never know how they're going to develop, you know? How their stats are going to evolve over the next few seasons. So, going with 3-star Chief, you know, Mechanic might be a good shout, because they might actually become a 4-star mechanic once they start working for you, you know? Who knows? We'll offer Mr. Counter a contract. And this person from Prost, and that person. Like, I don't know any of these names, I'm sorry, like... Maybe this is me totally losing my... Like, I heard Crash Thompson, like, on his stream talk about, like, indie cred or, like, emo cred. Like, is this where I lose my F1 nostalgia cred? Is this where I lose all that? Also, nobody wants to work for us. Alright, fuck it. 200,000, just keep doing your stuff. Alright, fuck it. I don't care. I just want to keep the team alive and build a halfway decent car for 1999. That's all I'm after right now. Because with like a 2-star designer, we're kind of fucked for 1998, let me tell you that much. We're absolutely fucked when it comes to that. The car. Let me just check on the car. We should probably start by actually building a car. $500,000 to build... Wait. Do we already have... Like, this is the thing. I forget whether or not we already have cars or whether or not we need to build 3 cars. Let me just check. See, this is where you can develop all your illegal shit. You know, your driver aids and all that good shit. Improve technologies, improve all that. Like, do we have cars? Yeah, we do have cars. Look. Chassis 1, Chassis 2, Chassis 3. So I don't need to build a 4th car. But having a 4th car always is a benefit, which is why I'm gonna, like, I'd rather spend the $500,000 now having 4 cars than to invest a lot of money, like, into building spares, because building spares can be an absolute torture during the season. So I'd rather have 4 cars that I can flip-flop between than to have only 3 cars and build spares for them. Like, that's most likely gonna be more of a chore later on. Some soup. Again, that's why I felt like I needed to calm down. So we're not having chocolate on the stream, but we're having soup. All right. Testing costs $1,500 per mile. And for proper testing, we need about, let's just say, 80 miles plus, like, free practice from the next Grand Prix. See, this is where I forget a bit of shit, right? We need to do research or development to actually know how good our car is, because if you do this, like, either one of these, the game will tell you, all right, your car is like 3 out of 5, you know, or a 3.5 out of 5 or something. At the same time, these are not just mechanics available for testing. This is your entire mechanics crew. So you can't just go, oh yeah, I'll devote like 90% of the testing crew. No, this is like 90% of your entire mechanics staff at Arrows. So you have to balance it out a bit. So I'll have 1/4 work on development. I'll have this. And I'm gonna do the cheap, like, save state just so I don't fuck this part up. Because at least I'd like to know how good our car is, you know? I'd love to know that. And again, you can just, you know, tell your drivers what to focus on, you know, focus on this, focus on that. Usually I just have the test driver focus on all the shit that the drivers probably don't really care about, like tires, fuels, engine, all that jazz. And now, since we've done our development testing, we can assist development and have the handling information for your new chassis, which has been updated on our design screens. You now know how good your cars are this year. You should do further development testing to uncover any handling problems, right? So basically, the development bar now is useful for finding out what the problem is, and the research bar is good for basically giving the team like telemetry or testing or just some shit to actually do changes. You know, it's a bit messy, but it's okay, you know. Again, it's still simple enough. It's just a bunch of colored bars, you know, it's a bunch of things you can test. It's okay, you know, it's okay. And our 1997 chassis has a handling of 40%. Oh dear God. That's basically, you know, 2 out of 5, you know, just like our chief designer. And you can probably wave Damon Hill's first victory after Williams goodbye. Like, that ain't gonna fucking happen. Because we can't develop the tires, we can't develop the engine, we can't develop the fuel, we can't even properly develop the fucking car because we don't have any money. Yeah, 1997 Hungary ain't gonna happen, everybody. Not gonna happen. Nope, nope, nope. Well, it's kind of a bummer. And again, we could theoretically start building the 1998 car already, like devoting a lot of staff to that, but then again, we only have a 2-star designer, like it's not really worth it, you know? What we could, however, invest our time into is into this lovely shit. Remember when driving aids were already illegal in Formula 1? They probably have a 20% handling. I don't know. Like we'll see about that in a second. The driving aids, the flipping illegal traction control, the power brakes, the automatic gears, or the active suspension. Which should we pick, everyone? Do we want to go pseudo Bennett in 1994, despite the fact that they didn't have a traction control and the only thing that they might have had was a launch control that they could never prove was actually utilized during the races? Do we want the power brakes? Do we want automatic gears, early 2000s style? Or do we want to go full-on FW14B with the active suspension? Have your pick now. Also, as much as I love the jazz music, I'm still thinking about whether or not something else would have fit better, you know? Like either the 1997 F1 soundtrack, like the game soundtrack, not like the review tape soundtrack. Like they would ban me the fuck off of YouTube with that. Active suspension. Might be. I mean, it would be a bit ridiculous to have like an active suspension car in 1997, but it would also be kind of cool. You know? I mean, teams like Jordan had like a prototypical, like semi-legal-ish traction control in 1999, which was actually the reason why both Hill and Frentzen retired from the European race that year, or from the European Grand Prix that year, because they failed to manually like disengage the system, as far as I'm aware. At least that's the story that Mike Gascoigne told on like the race podcast. It's hotter than your soup bowl. I mean, I don't know if it's a hot take. Like, I don't know if you're referring to the traction control, but it was never proven, you know? Never proven. Well, that might be another roundtable discussion, wouldn't it? Like, 1994, the season. Just 3 hours of fighting over everything. Like, everything. I'm just gonna go for the active suspension, I think. Yeah, 100% of designers just... give me that suspension. We're gonna build a few spares, just in case. Yeah. And there we go. Again, we're not gonna build the facilities at the beginning of the season because they are really expensive. I mean, do you want to pay $24 million to just have a semi-nice looking World Wrestling Federation headquarter-esque factory? I don't know, Chief. I don't know. I mean, maybe. Might be several parts. Dude, I don't know if you've read, like, the 1994 book. I don't remember the author's name, but there's, like, an entire book dedicated to the 1994 season, which I own as an audiobook, which is cool and all, except for the fact that the audio quality is absolutely horrendous. Which is sad, because I thought the book was really interesting, and it was really well written, you know? Including a few hot takes. And again, you can rent a wind tunnel, which we're not going to do, because there's no reason for us to do that at the moment. But yeah, as you can see, we can't really develop anything here, you know? Or, no, I misremembered. You could... theoretically help development, but it's a bit, like, iffy, you know, and it's not really, like, I mean, it's fucking Yamaha. Like, what's Yamaha gonna get you? That's right, nothing. And we're just gonna invest a few percent into talking to basically everyone who might give us at least a few cents of the money, except for Yamaha, because they can fuck right off. Schumacher costs as much as a 5-star factory. Yeah, of course he does. No chance that's what you got. What do you mean there's no chance I got that book? Why wouldn't I get that book? Why wouldn't I? I mean, I drove around a fucking virtual Mazda Speed around the 1983 Silverstone circuit this weekend, so I know how to spend my time. Yeah. Anybody else we want to talk to? Just for my gamer cred, you know, just for my gamer cred. Also, if we ever fuck up our finances, we could get some shady loans, you know? Or some shady investments, or some shady share selling, you know? Insert bad Bitcoin reference or something. Confirm orders. This is basically where we tell our drivers what to do and what not to do. Which mostly I just leave here because, I don't really know what to tell Damon other than don't fuck up. And to be fair, I don't really know what to tell Diniz other than don't fuck up to Electric Boogaloo. It's the opening lyric to Vinnie Mac's entrance music in reference to you calling the factory no chance. Oh, fuck. No, yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, oh god, that fucking theme song for which I think originally was written for like the 99 like Royal Rumble, you know, where Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson almost killed Mick Foley, which you can see in the documentary. Like, what was it called? fuck? Like, there was a documentary, like, showing that pay-per-view backstage, and Jesus Christ, that's heavy. That's heavy. Beyond the Mat, that was the name of the documentary. Beyond the Mat. 1999 documentary about the ins and outs of professional wrestling. TLDW, wrestling is fucking depressing. Wrestling never changes. Apart from that, let's just confirm the orders. No real team orders here. We don't really have anything setup-wise because we didn't test anything regarding setup, which isn't too bad for the first race, I hope. Also, we can pick and choose between 2 different tire compounds, which, I mean, that's neat. Other than that, confirm assembly. Tell our crew to actually do some pit stop shite. And that's it, pretty much. We're gonna lose almost $500,000 going to Australia. Ah, yes, Dwayne the Johnson Roxon Johnson. Do you mean Mr. Rap Person? Do you mean Mr. Put in the work, put in the hours, and take what's ours? What was the fucking line? Yeah. God damn it. So, here's my hot take for the session, right? We've now done almost everything we need to do to be ready for the season opener, right? We've tested our cars, we've talked to the drivers, all of them hate us, rightfully so. We've talked to the sponsors, they will probably hate us. We've talked to most of the people we want to hire, they hate us. Nothing ever changes. When it comes to the racing now, the racing on this game is probably its biggest flaw, and to be fair, I don't even know if this is gonna work. Like, with my graphics card and everything. See, you can choose whether or not you want to view, like, the races and the qualifying sessions. You can also see who's actually starting. Since the racing, like, view is an absolute shit show, I just show you the qualifying, at least a bit of it, and simulate the races so we can actually move ahead a bit quicker. Because you can't really do short races on here, apart from the fact that the screen is scuffed to begin with. You can't do short racing on here like you could on Motorsport Manager, which is the one thing that I'd say Motorsport Manager does definitely does better, you know? Like, these are real-life length Grand Prix you can only speed up to, like, 110%. So, you'll sit here for, like, at least half an hour, up to an hour. If you want to do, like, proper simulation and shit. Peak 90s game design. Alright, we have Damon Hill with the number 1 arrows. We have Pedro Diniz with the number 2 arrows. We have Williams, number 1. We have the Frenson. We have the Michael. We have... why are you talking about underage nudity? With number 6. Jean Lazy in P7. Gerhard Berger in P8. P8 with the numbers. I mean, it's not qualifying yet. The Mika, the David, the Ralph, Fisichella, Olivier Panis, Shinji Nakano, Johnny Herbert, Nicola Larini, Jos, the Boss Verstappen, Mika Salo, Ukyo Katayana, Yano Trulli, Rubens Barrichello, and that guy I remember from touring car racing. It's slow, the race style in this game. Yeah, it is. It is. Please don't die, game. Please don't die, game. Also, it's dry. Please don't die, game. Wait. Oh yeah, please don't die, game. Yes. Yeah, just pick entire compounds and shit. Alright, it seems to have worked. And I hope this is not too loud. Wait a minute, let me just, cut the sound effects because, dear God, they're too loud. Let's just speed this up a bit, shall we? We can speed up to like 150. Okay. Standard, low. Chat, we can have the high quality car model. Yeah. I mean, you just sit here and like watch people do their like thing in like different camera perspectives. I mean, you don't really have a full what's your aiming for quality? Not dead, not last. Like, that's my aim. Again, we could have engine sounds on, but at the same time they would probably be too loud. So I'd rather just turn them off and have the jazz still on. Like in theory, it's a cool concept, isn't it? Like, you have different cameras you can look at. You know, there are these different like real life photos that they work off of. Yeah, it's too loud. Again, I hope it works due to the fact that I basically turned off the game audio now, practically. Yeah, we can look at different cameras and shit. We can look at different drivers, but at the same time, it's a bit cheesy, if I'm being completely honest. Like, if you compare this to like modern games, it's a bit yeah. So we can basically tell our drivers to just go out whenever they feel like it. Like, here we can see their tire sets and shit. We'll just tell Dennis to go, yeah, get out there, do some stuff, right? I just wish I would feel more comfortable with like watching races in here, because theoretically, this, like, especially when it comes to like the whole fantasy thing, I think this would be quite cool. But then again, it would be very time consuming, and I don't want to spend too much time here. So I'd suggest we just skip the races and have them simulate and kind of do our own little like alternative history moments where we like explain. Like, I could definitely see me just do some like video editing dark magic shit to kind of tell the story of like the fake 1997 season. Like, I could see that being a thing. Also, we'll tell Damon to go out. Where are you, Mr. Diniz? Yeah, flying lap. Do the thing. Do the thing. Do the thing. Do the thing. Yeah. Also, Jacques Villeneuve with a 131.5. I feel like that's a bit slow for 1997. I think they had like high 120s at that point, like 129s, 128s, I think. I'm not sure. We'll see. Looks fun. It is fun, trust me. Like, again, and what we've done so far is only like the minimum. You know, it's like that's not even like the true magic of this game. Like, it only gets better with time. The more time you sink into it, the more the stories of the fake Formula 1 develop, the better it gets, at least from my experience. Also, how much fuel do you have? Dennis, get into the fucking pits. But yeah, we're gonna skip the races. We're just gonna do a bit of negotiating with the world of the Formula 1 while I'm enjoying my soup. Also, I told Dennis to come in, and he didn't because he's a dipshit. And he retired! Because of course he did, despite the fact that I told him to come in. Oh wait, I pressed the wrong button. Fuck. No! Fuck, I pressed the wrong button. See, this is what happens. This is what happens when you don't know how to be Tom Walkinshaw. When you don't know what to do in the original Tom Walkinshaw simulator, right? Ah, god damn it. I mean, we're only 1.8 seconds off of Schumacher, so that's not too bad. You pressed the wrong button. I did. I'm a dipshit. I admit it. Oh, god damn it. Oh no. To fit in with the young crowd, peak Ferrari moment? Question mark. Isn't that still like the hot trendy thing to like shit on Ferrari or something? It might be. Then again, what's more hot and trendy than Grand Prix World, am I right? Like, I'm just waiting for insert famous streamer here to play this fucking game, you know? Yeah. Yeah, where do I end the session? Like, where do I end this? Accelerated time. Just end qualifying. Quality session has ended. And we're in P15. Yeah. Yeah. Can you only sign from 97? You can't sign the people I showed. Like, it has non-F1 drivers, you know? Then again, it depends on what mod you're playing. Like, sometimes it might be more focused on, like, real-life, maybe endurance racers. Sometimes it'll be more focused on, like, test drivers. But as I showed earlier on, you can sign non-F1 drivers. So yeah, which is pretty cool. You know, gives it a bit of spice. Also, what the fuck is Irvine doing on pole position? What the fuck is Villeneuve doing in 6th? I'm disappointed. What the fuck is Nakano doing ahead of Panis? What is going on here? Like, fuck me. I mean, it might sound like fake streamer enthusiasm, but it's only mildly fake and like 80% genuine. What the fuck is going on here? And 20%, I might just go for another bowl of soup and be right back. So guys, I will be right back. In the meantime, you can try and comprehend why the fuck Eddie Irvine is on pole position here. I'll be right back. I'm back, everyone. Also, drivers who left, like Blundell. Again, I think that depends on the mod. I think the stock game doesn't have retired drivers, but depending on the mod you're playing, you might have a good shot with people like Blundell. Like, it really depends on like the database. But yeah, also, we could theoretically create a mod for this game. Like, if we were really like having too much time, we might theoretically just create a mod. Like, with people like Blundell, you know? But yeah, small suggestion. End the quality until every driver set the time, because if you end the quality and don't set the time, they will be faster than usual. Oh, okay. Then again, to be fair, I mostly just simulate everything, like, to begin with. So, Yeah, it might look a bit bizarre. I just find it, like, again, I just find it hilarious that, like, Irvine's on pole position. But again, like, this might be another, like, roundtable discussion. Simulating times in racing games or F1 related games in general is a mess. Like, Josh can attest to that with, like, F1 Challenge and simulating quali there, or, like, practice, or, like, the discrepancies between, like, quali pace and race pace and AI not really knowing what to do during different, like, sessions and shit. Like, it's a mess. Also, Frentzen ahead of Schumacher, yes. Also, Frentzen ahead of Villeneuve, even more yes. Also, keep fighting, Michael. But yeah, the 1997 Australian Grand Prix, which is only gonna be a block of text displaying the results, you know? I mean, to be fair, I'd love to have, like, a text mode, like in, like, Football Manager games or, like, in Total Club Manager. That would be pretty funny. Where you maybe have, like, a 20% race and you can kind of, like, decide a few aspects of it in, like a text mode. Like, that would be pretty alright. But, you know, it is what it is. Again, this is the weakest part of the entire game. To be completely honest, like, this is its weak point. Absolutely. Which is why I want to skip through it, because the best parts are when you negotiate, when you try and manage the team, when you try and, like, lay the groundwork for shit. Like, that's when it's at its peak. Also, that's some nice soup. Also, don't tell me I did the entire stream with my microphone being slightly off. Yep, never simulate F1C. Should have told me that before I ran the entirety of the 1998 and 1999 seasons. Oopsie. Yep. Very dry. Let's go. This is okay. This is okay. They're both doing a 2-stop. We're fucked either way. So let's see what happens. I've never simulated a race in this mod, so I'm curious. And Michael Schumacher wins ahead of Mika Häkkinen, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, David Coulthard, Eddie Irvine, and Gerhard Berger. So now what the fuck happened to Villeneuve? Retirement unknown. Damon Hill has retired with an accident. How precise. Thank you, Grand Prix World. I mean, as you can see, Jos Verstappen retired due to him fucking up. Johnny Herbert had an engine failure. Lorini's hydraulics failed. Trulli's engine failed. Panis also had an accident. Gatayama's brakes failed, you know. Like, the game can sometimes be a bit strange with describing why people retired, you know. Like, sometimes it will be very precise, and sometimes it will be like, accident, or unknown, you know? Yeah, no points for us, but, you know, if Diniz, of all people, can finish in P11, I'd have more hope for Hill, but I'm a bit worried about not having a good car for 1998, you know? So Schumacher leads the championship, which is interesting. So it's another round of let's try and get a suitable driver for 1998. With ASMR soup noises, because that's sexy, isn't it? Again, I don't think we're going to be able to keep Hill for 1998 because it's just too much money. Like, we could try again, and nope. Like, I'm not willing to pay him, like, 10 million bucks or something. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just not willing to pay him that much money. Villeneuve retired after realizing Psygnoses were planning on using his name in F1 97 and had to leave to speak to his lawyer. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, who could we pick? Wait, who did I talk to before? I talked to Häkkinen, you know? Salary isn't high enough. Oh, fuck off! Come on, Mika. Olivier Pan is 2.5 million. Ah, come on. Guys, I know inflation's a thing and everything, but come on. Rubens, please don't disappoint me. He disappoints me. Motorsport Manager is either crashed or retired, so it's still better than Motorsport Manager. Yep. True that. Mr. Villeneuve doesn't want the Psygnosis money. Can we get the Frentzen in? I want the Frentzen. We'll go all out for the Frentzen. I need a first driver, guys. I need a fucking first driver. Okay, maybe he'll enjoy it for 2 seasons. No. God damn it. Whom else? What might we pick? We might try Physicella just for the lulz. 3 million. 2 seasons. Are you fucking kidding me? Ralph, don't let me down. I'm almost paying you $4 million. You probably shouldn't even earn half that with your performances in 97 and 98. Contract is... Oh, fuck. Let's try David Coulthard, shall we? Let's try Mr. Chin Man. Let's try the ultimate Chad. Championship bonus. You know what? Since you're not going to win the championship anyway, $11 million. You're not going to win the championship, my friend. Ross said, no. No. 2 seasons, first driver. David. 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 Golly. Let me try a lazy. Two seasons. Let's try Burger. Let's give him another spin. Or anybody, for that matter, who wants to sign with us. No. What are Vertz's stats, though? Not first driver stats, I can tell you that much. Don't make me sign Eddie Irvine. Don't make me sign Eddie Irvine. No. Oh, fuck. Can we at least sign the Dinners for 3 more years? Yes, we can. At least something. Also, who's cheaper than Jörg Müller? Fuck it, I need to save money. Let's get into Aero. 3 years. Salary. Are you fucking kidding me? That feeling when the test driver yells at you for not paying him enough. Could we get Rosset as a test driver, though? That would be hilarious. And it does work! The Rosset has become our cheap test driver. Yay. So, at least you can't fuck up Turtle's final season. That's a plus. Commercial directors. Again, those spicy mouth sounds are tasty. Dominicali, Sammy, like, what was his problem? Like, I could basically just repeat the offer and hope he's okay with it. And he is okay with it! We have someone competent on our team! Has to be Badoa. No. I know you will be very sad-oa about this, but no. Yeah. So, basically, we've just overspent massively to get us a decent commercial manager, which, I mean, if you're gonna overspend anywhere, it's the commercial manager, from my point of view, but, you know, it's neither here nor there. We got ourselves a chief designer for next year, at least. But, oh boy, the engineering department. Oh yeah, right, we already signed him. Yeah, we have everything signed except, or we have everyone signed except for the first driver, because nobody wants to race for us. Like, at this point in time, I might actually consider people like Montoya just for the shits and giggles. So here's the fun part, right? The cars wear, of course, because, you know, they're put through stress and all that shit. But repeating offer over and over again is also nice, of course, because that's super duper realistic. Just annoying people into driving for you. That's the way of the Formula One. Basically, the more wear a car has, the slower it'll be. And also, I think you can only have a car that's damaged up to 10%. Otherwise, you're not allowed to race with that car. So I'd always recommend just, you know, getting it, like, building spares, getting the cars through rather safely. Also, testing before you rebuild the cars has been quite good for me. We'll do 5% setup. 160, maybe not that much. Maybe like 55 miles. We don't really have any money. Also, I'm not a good calculator. Like, my maths are absolutely horrendous. Research and development have gone well. Has uncovered a handling problem in your cars. What a surprise. This problem can be fixed by a chassis upgrade. Your design screens have been updated with this information. You can do no further development testing until you have designed and constructed the chassis upgrade, which we may or may not do depending on how I feel tonight. Research testing has provided data that will help you designers with their work. Do you want to use this data now? Yes. Which basically I may or may not have just wasted, but then again, I'm not a big car guy. Like, I'm more of the, yeah, let's just get this shit over with, let's build a semi-decent car kind of guy. Also, our active suspension is going quite well, you know, hopefully. We might have to want to look at our finances for a moment, right? Because the last Grand Prix was okay-ish when it comes to that. Like, we had an income of $4 million. We spent $2.5 million. Problem is, our sponsors might actually pay less the worse we perform. That's a real thing in this game, which is problematic, since we might actually, like, that's the way we might get into trouble, by our sponsors just going, yeah, now we're not going to pay you the amount we promised you because fuck you. Welcome to the weird and wonderful world of Formula One, everyone. So I'm just going to take the opportunity to still build spares, just in case, you know? We haven't really tested anything for Yamaha or Bridgestone, because it's Yamaha and fucking Bridgestone. And see, the thing is now, we have we have 65% of our mechanical department, of our mechanics department left, which we then need to tell which cars to repair and how to repair them, right? So we do this, we do this. See, and we now have only 12% left to repair the damages of the two race cars. See, that worked out quite well. We only have 5% left, which is pretty alright. Yeah. Like I said, we're not going to play with the facilities for now, because that would be way too expensive at this point. Yeah. The negotiations. How have the negotiations gone? Melbra doesn't want to talk to us. Mild 7 doesn't want to talk to us. Neither does Rothmans, West, Goulois, Benson, Hedges, but the one sponsor I try to avoid wants to talk to us. Okay. I'll bite the bullet. I'll try and get Red Bull on board. Even though in a real life scenario, I'd never want a single fucking penny from them. Okay? I have my reasons. Meanwhile, Ferrari would offer us a partner deal. Ford would potentially offer us a works deal. Mercedes just hates us. So does Honda. Peugeot would offer us a works deal. Renault... Well, fuck Renault. They will only offer us a partner deal. And Yamaha's Yamaha. So I'd say we go for the works deal. So sorry, Ferrari. So it's it's basically either Ford or Peugeot. Peugeot. How do you pronounce Peugeot in English? 11.2 million, 9.4 million. So preferably we'd go for Peugeot money wise, but Ford has some great R&D stats, which Peugeot doesn't really have. Like, I don't know. I mean, we could still talk to both of them. I mean, we have some staff freed after, you know, most F1 engine manufacturers just fucking hate us. Mugen doesn't want to talk to us. We want to talk to Peugeot a bit more. Not to Renault. Okay. Again, tires, just, you know. Might talk to Goodyear just to see what happens, you know. Again, this is not super duper important, you know. I'd go for Ford. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. So we can stop all the hospitality bullshit, which may or may not have worked because I don't remember who we actually invited. So, you know, that might have been a waste of fucking money. We say Peugeot. Like the cats that go purr. Does a Peugeot cat girl fanfiction exist? And is it more likely that it exists than it not existing? It'll reach the works more faster. That's true. But the thing is, I'm a bit of a gambler when it comes to this game. Like, at the moment, I'm just trying to give the team a stable financial basis. And I'd rather have 11 million in the bank than 9 million. But then again, you're correct about it not taking nearly as long to negotiate. It's spicy. It's spicy. But again, this is where the game shines, you know? Like, this kind of depth to it, you know? Also, imagine having $21 million in your bank. Rule 34, so don't remind me. Don't remind me, Josh. Where was I? Oh yeah, soup. Just to get the Rule 34 out of your head. Anything else I forgot? I mean, we could... This is also great. You could theoretically just publish merchandise and shit, which we don't do at the moment because it's not really like it doesn't really help us at the moment, but you could do that, you know? Could sell some cars or publish some magazines or some clothing or some video games, wink wink, or clocks, because I don't know. Would you buy an Arrows watch? I'm not saying I wouldn't. I don't really give a fuck about watches though. All right. I hope I haven't forgotten anything. I might actually show you this screen, which is basically the news report kind of screen, you know? Michael Schumacher has added another win to his total. Eddie Irvine took his first ever pole position at the last race and so on. Damon Hill finished the race early. He did not look happy. Ferrari is happy to see both its cars finish in the top sixth. Not sixth. Motherfucker. The fastest lap at the last Grand Prix was posted by Heinz-Harald Frentzen. Benetton hopes to close a deal with Mick Hakkinen. See, this is also pretty cool that you can actually, like, hear, like, the rumor and innuendo of the grid through the screen. Like, that's pretty neat. I think that's cool. Williams is rumored to be talking to Stefano Domenicali about a role with the team next year. Well, guess who signed him? Yes, the Arrows have one game, which would sell about 8,000 copies. Let's be honest, probably even less, if we're being completely honest. Like, except for maybe 1997 if you put, like, Damon Hill on the cover, but, you know, maybe that doesn't count. An expert panel has named Giancarlo Minardi least effective manager in Formula 1. Okay. Also, we really need to keep an eye on, like, income and expenditure, just in case, so we don't fuck this up entirely. Again, I want this to be a semi-consistent series, so I'm trying my best here, everybody. Confirm orders, yes. Dear Damon, you're gonna try and be an overtakey boy in Brazil. Yeah, also sadly, like, the active suspension isn't ready yet, because I'd just love to see how that works, you know? Yeah. Yeah, next, last. Alright. So it's time to simulate race number 2. This is our starting lineup. Again, people can injure themselves, so you might actually see some test drivers throughout the season, which is also an interesting feature. It's dry, wind speed is low, and we're probably slow as fuck. And I was right! We're in 16th and 17th, and Irvine is on pole again. What the flying horse's ass? Schumacher, 2nd. Villeneuve, 3rd. Coulthard, 4th. Häkkinen, 5th. Berger, 6th. Fredson, 7th. I'm not doing the Valerio voice. Panis, 8th. Schumacher, 9th. Nakano, 10th. Hill did a 1:19.7. We're almost 2 seconds off the pace. That's no good. Also, why is Damon only 1/10 up on Diniz? That's worrying. That's really worrying. But okay, it's early 97 and it's heavy rain. Pro tip, I think a lazy might actually win this, because in this game he's basically doing the Jesus and walking on water, you know? Hey everybody, it's Aiden here once again, and I should stop doing that. Nobody gets that reference. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. And we're fucked. Ferrari 1-2, actually, ahead of Alesi with a strong P3, ahead of Frentzen, Häkkinen, and Coulthard. Schumacher missing out on the points by 1 position. We retired with Oh, god damn it. Imagine not even having the active suspension on your car yet, and the suspension already costing you potential points. Like 4 drivers retired. 5 people retired with suspension issues, including the Villeneuve. My god. Flimsy as fuck late 90s Formula 1 at it again. I just don't like him. Well, who do you like at? I just wanted to say at. Fuck! Me and remember. Who do you like, Mr. Kazar? Now that works, I hope. Like I know you don't like the Broadbent. Now, I also know you don't like the Mill Ward. Do you like the sim racing personality? Ah, yes, Brazil. It destroys your cars. Indeed. Attempt number 3. Would anybody please race for us? Also, Hill just randomly returns to Willie. Okay, then. So there's this alternate history where in 1997, Hill just goes, fuck this, and Frank Williams goes, fuck this, you come in to replace Villeneuve. Fuck Jacques Villeneuve. Oh, peak storytelling already. And he signed a 3-year contract. Oh, man. I'm just a massive contrarian. You might be. Damon Hill just going, nope. I'm going back to Williams. I've had enough of this shit. Also, Häkkinen's actually going to Benetton and has signed a 4-year contract. Interesting. So, no championships for you, Mika. I'm sorry to tell you that. Anybody else who signed a contract already? Except for Dini's? Nope. Not as far as I can tell. I mean, since either Villeneuve or Frentzen will lose their seat for 98, I'm gonna try and sign Frentzen again, you know? 8 million. Come on, Heinz. Come on. Ah. Dude, you're most likely gonna be fired. Like, Villeneuve's probably also gonna say no. Yep. Dude, one of you is gonna get fired, you know? Don't you realize this? Rubens doesn't want to join us. We might try Panis again. Salary. Who the fuck do you all think you are? God damn it. God damn it. Dear Mr. David Coulthard, would you fucking mind? David Coulthard has accepted your offer and wants to sign a deal with you. David Coulthard is ready to join at the start of 1998. I can't do the James Early, but you know. At least someone who will join us in our pursuit of victory. The Chin. Still, I want to see if we can get anybody else in the car. Not Fisichella. Could we get the... We could get the Ralph. Okay. We can't get the Alazy. No, Burger is also not interested. So, what should we do? Should we pick the Ralph or shall we pick the David? One costs 7 million, the other 4. Just showing you the stats here. What you think? Like, guys, to be honest, I'm kind of tending... Like, I'm leaning towards Ralph simply because I don't want to pay $7 million for a driver. Also, it's funny because race 3, which was in Argentina, was the race where Ralf Schumacher not only scored his first podium, but also potentially threw away his first career victory. You know, Ralph things, I guess. Ralph for the money. Yeah, I'm leaning towards Ralph simply for that reason alone, you know? Like him and David, surprisingly enough, have very similar stats and overtaking skill. Like, he has 1 speed point less, but then again, he might just get another point during the time we have him, you know? Because this game, you know, these game stats aren't just static. Also, Coulthard has higher stamina, but, you know... I mean, look at him. He's having the time of his life. He's having the time of his life. While David is kind of like, I don't want to go to Arrows. I don't want to go to... No, just let me... No. Alright, fuck it. We'll take Ralph. We took the Ralph. Eddie's gonna be happy about that, trust me. So for 1998, we have the Ralph, we have the Diniz, and we have the Rosset. World Championships incoming, I'll tell you. Also, please ignore the high score. It doesn't really make any sense, according to anybody. Also, apparently Damon Hill is fucking pissed, because of course he is. Michael Schumacher has added another win to his total. Arrows had a nightmare race with both drivers failing to finish. Yes. Benetton has done a deal with Mika Hakkinen. Williams has hired Adrian Newey to design the car that will bring it victory. Okay. So, getting started immediately. That's nice. That's good to know, Josh. Like, I'm probably gonna end the stream after Argentina, you know? Because, again, this was more like of a test and introductory stream, but, you know, we'll see. Also, my soup's starting to get a bit cold. But yeah, I mean, the alternative history where Adrian Newey just goes, fuck it, I'll stay at Williams if I can get my Damon Hill. And they're like, yeah, we'll sign Damon Hill. And Newey goes, yay! We made a profit of $500,000. We're not going to keep on making profits, trust me. That's not going to be a constant. Income, expenditure, like, I don't trust our income at all. I don't trust it, you know? What do we need to do? We need to build some spares, Jesus. While we should build spares while we still can, you know? While we still have the opportunity to build spares, we should. Also, you're not supposed to say you downloaded the game. You're supposed to say you bought a CD on eBay, Josh. You know, huh? And our active suspension is ready. Now, here's the fun part, right? We can either choose whether we go to the FIA and tell them about the active suspension and ask them whether or not they're okay with this, you know? And they can tell us it's legal or illegal, and if it's illegal, we have to restart the development all over again, which kind of sucks, but then again, you know, it would be the safe route. Or we can just construct it, say fuck you FIA, and just hope and beg that nobody notices that we have an active suspension car. I'll go and ask the FIA because I'm a dipshit. And they've rejected my design! Latency can be bad. Also, you're supposed to say you got a CD from MySpace. What? It's abandoned where... Yeah, but my CD. Also, I just love to collect games, if I'm being completely honest. Like, I always love... Like, no matter the age, I always love having, like, a physical copy of a game here. Which is also my biggest gripe with PC gaming and Steam, that I don't have physical stuff, you know? Give me my physical stuff, you know? Remember to patch the game. Yeah, but this is not a tutorial channel. The internet exists for that purpose, I suppose. That and other things I'm not allowed to mention before 11 p.m. But yeah. The 1998 regulations are set, so we could start development on that car, which we're gonna do right now. Yeah, that's okay, the costs are very low for testing this week, so we might as well go balls to the wall with it, you know? Research, a bit of setup. We might do some engine testing and see if that works out well. Setup. Mr. Müller, you're doing some engine testing today. Yeah, it was alright. Could be worse. We have a lot of setup points to work with. Also, geez, we need to repair our cars. And geez, I didn't properly calculate the mechanics, which is why it's great that we have 4 different cars. So we can just go, yep, Damon, you're gonna drive car number 1 with a little bit of damage, and Pedro, you're gonna drive car number 4. Yay. Or maybe Damon should drive car number 4 and Pedro should drive car number 1 because, you know, second driver and everything. Alright. Anything else I forgot? Nah. Not yet. Oh yeah, right. We do have a few points now from testing with the engine, which I always forget because again, it's a Yamaha, you know. Like, imagine playing Grand Prix World online and simultaneously trying to eat soup. Peak performance. Do you wish to carry out R&D? Yes. We can remap shit now, which is not really that useful, but, you know, let's say we get more juice. Hooray! We have more juice, everybody. Let's look at the sponsorship deals, shall we? Oh, hello! We are in for $21 million, potentially. Meanwhile, on the engine front, we're not really making any progress with Peugeot, but we're making progress with Ford. This is not too important. This isn't too important either. Neither one of these is offering us a works deal, which is sad, but, you know, can't have everything. And PlayStation would like to sponsor us because gamer cred. Yay. Anything else I forgot? No, this is okay. Yeah, the engine's only ready for the next race, so we can't put it on right now, but it'll be ready for, like, Imola. Now, this is where we can do some fun shit, right? Bit of rain here, bit of braking here, maybe a bit of surface, whatever that means. I mean, it doesn't, it's really bizarre, and it doesn't replicate setup changes at all, but, you know, it's okay for what it is. Confirm orders, save the game, and that will be our final race for the day in Argentina. Yeah, please don't fuck this up, boys. I know you will, but still. I mean, at least Villeneuve has his first pole position of the season ahead of Frentzen, Irvine. For fuck's sake, Irvine. A lazy Berger, Schumacher, Häkkinen, Coulthard, Panis, and Herbert. I mean, we're not having a good time. We're really not having a good time here, folks. It's overcast, so it might rain if we're lucky, but I don't think it's gonna rain. Confirm, and Villeneuve wins. Ahead of Schumacher, Frentzen, Häkkinen, Fisichella, and Pan is with I think his first points. Dennis finishes in 9th. Damon's engine goes boom. Coulthard had an accident, Irvine fucked up, Lorini's suspension died. Yeah. Fucking 97 arrows. Let's score a point. Well, yeah, well, how about no? Yeah, you see why I'm not so happy about the 1998 car only being designed by a 2-star designer. I mean, at least Frentzen's still in the championship hunt. You know, that's a good thing. Save this. At least we have $2 million in the bank. Like, I'd rather have a shit season but be financially stable than have a good season and be bankrupt at the end of it, to be completely honest. Would be a shame, though, if both happened. Having a shit season and going bankrupt. Giancarlo Fisichella has scored his first ever championship points. Damon Hill finished the race early. He did not look happy. Ferrari has closed a deal with Jacques Villeneuve. Oh, fuck me. Oh, this is getting real spicy. Oh my. McLaren has secured the services of Jean Alesi. Okay. Okay. Ralph signs with us. Stuart signs truly. All right. I mean, what can you say? What can you say? I mean, oh man, that feeling when Ferrari signs the Villeneuve in a parallel universe, indeed. Imagine Craig Pollock just going, Jack, you know what? Fuck the idea of BAR. We'll get you to Ferrari. Bye-bye, Edmund. Or bye-bye Schumacher, depending on what he does in the future. You know? I mean, we can check, like, the good thing about the mod is that, like, all contracts are up at the end of this season, so basically everybody has to renegotiate, which isn't super-duper realistic, but, you know, it makes it spicy, you know? Schumacher has to re-sign, so, yeah. So Jacques Villeneuve is gonna drive for Ferrari, Hakkinen is gonna drive for Bennett, and Trulli's gonna drive for Stewart. Again, Villeneuve to Ferrari, peak alternative universe hours, and Alesi's going to McLaren. Can Jean Alesi finally win his fucking championship? Then again, he doesn't have Mr. Newey by his side, so I don't know. And Damon's coming back home. Oh my, that's it for tonight, you know? Schumacher, Hakkinen, France, and Villeneuve, the top 4 in the championship after 3 races. This is gonna be fun, right? Like, I'm gonna end it now because I feel like this is a proper time for me to end it and to kind of chillax and have a nice, relaxing evening. But this was cool. I want to do this again sometime. You know, I hope you all enjoyed it. You seem to have enjoyed it. It was cool. You know, except for my internet just dying in the middle of it all. But yeah, it was neat. Justice for Jean Alesi, indeed. Shout out to Ash once again. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it. It was cool for me to do. Like, I wanted to do this for a very long time. Got the chance to do it, and yeah. All I can say is, I hope you enjoyed it as well. I hope my PC doesn't die after... Are you sure you want to quit? Wait, let's just save it one more time just to be sure. Alright. That was nice. That was nice. Also, hi desktop. Bye desktop. We can at least change this text now, can't we? To see ya next time, and that's all I've got to say. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one, everybody. See ya!